All right, guys, welcome to Leadership Academy. I am at the Strategic Leadership Conference, the only time each year where every district and division manager in the US, Canada, and US territories get together to mastermind, to plan the future, and to skill up so that we can grow our businesses together. It's like SC2 on steroids, and the Olean Conference is going to give you a little taste of what this is like, but this is one of the best events Vector puts on all year. I want to say thank you to Kayla for leading tonight's Leadership Academy. I'm going to share some opening thoughts. Kayla will lead some discussion. And at the end, we'll wrap it up with part 2 of our money series. So last week, we finished the interview. Make sure you're practicing and getting sharp with it. We're going to be testing your skills on October 13th. Tonight, though, we're going to talk about what to do when you first open up your office. I want you guys to close your eyes for a moment. Actually close them. And I want you to imagine for a moment that you're a branch or a district manager. You just finished your last final if you're in school. You met your landlord. They gave you the keys. You turn the keys to your office. You open the door for the first time. You walk in. You see your main room where you're going to run interviews and training. You're not even halfway through the room yet, and you're already envisioning where you're going to put the desk and the TV. You walk to the back into the office with a window, and you decide, yep, this is my room. You start imagining where your desk is going to be, how many fired up new recruits you can meet with at one time and tell them they got the job. You imagine celebrating your first rep to hit $1,000 or $3,000 in sales and your first Dirty 30 achiever in that room. You come back out and you look at the last room where you're going to store your supplies, where your reps are going to hang out between appointments, and where your key staffers are going to do their phone jams. You can already see where the pictures are going to hang on the wall. You take in the new office smell. You can already feel the tingle of answering a call and hearing a rep say they just sold a homemaker or a signature set. You can already envision a room with 5, 10, 15 people making calls and the din of a phone jam where you book 30, 50, 100 appointments on a Wednesday night. You can already taste the dinner at Champions Night at the end of summer. So where to begin? You can open up your eyes now. You're standing in an empty room. I want you guys to think about this for a moment and have a discussion. What are the most important activities to do? If you got into your office on day 1 and you could only do 2 things on that first day in the office, what's your priority? Kayla, please pause this video. I want you guys to take a few minutes to discuss. Kayla, don't respond or tell them if they're on the right track or not. Let them have a discussion. Give them a couple of minutes, have a few people share out loud, and then resume the playback. All right, so what did you guys come up with? I'm going to guess that a bunch of you imagine setting up the posters and the TV and moving furniture in. That stuff is important, but not if you don't have anyone to see it. You might hate the music that your manager plays in their office. You might have the best office playlist of all time, but if no one's there to hear it, doesn't matter. So job number 1, if you remember back to when we first started learning the interview, we discussed the funnel is recruiting. Big armies beat little armies, and as an office manager, your number 1 job is to build an army. So let's talk about how to do that. You have a unique and new opportunity next year that has never existed before, and that is phone interviews. In the past, a new manager, and this is what Kayla and Bryce had to go through, they would show up in their office, and for the first week, they start advertising. They're putting out ads, getting people to start applying for the job. In week 2, the manager's running their first interviews and building their first training. In week 3, you run your first training seminar, get your first list of PRs, and your first sales come in. And in week 4, you get your first paycheck as a manager. Next year, we're going to enable you to do phone interviews. We've been testing this and working on it for 2 years now, and we're finally unveiling it to everybody. And we're going to have some recruits already in your funnel, literally before you even finish your finals. The goal is that we accelerate your summer by 2 full weeks. In the short term, you're going to get your first paycheck 2 weeks sooner. In the longer term, you're going to have 2 additional weeks to build your SC2 push. You're going to have 2 more weeks worth of sales an income. You're going to have 2 more weeks to compete for the national trip or a scholarship or a top 20 nationally ranked team or a silver cup or whatever other goals you're pursuing. So let's talk about where those recruits come from. And in your notes, I want you to write down passive recruits versus growth recruits. Passive recruits are essentially anything that you don't have to do anything for. They include the internet, they include Craigslist, they include letters in the mail, they include paid Facebook ads. You don't have to do anything. We do that stuff for you, and people just show up and walk into your office. The money spent, the texting center schedules them, they just come in. And those are great. We get some great people from those. In fact, many of you came from there, but they are not the bulk of your business. Your growth recruits are the people that you actively go out and get. We call it the pursuit of the recruit. Okay, these include, and I want you to write these things down, active advertising. Active advertising includes visiting your high schools and colleges, passing out business cards, hanging up posters, setting up an information booth in a popular area to attract students and sign them up for interviews. This includes going to the malls and movie theaters and restaurants to pass out cards where a lot of students hang out. This includes putting up road signs on the side of the road in heavily trafficked areas near your schools and stuff that students travel to. And this includes Facebook Jumpstart. This was our big move last year, and we're going to start this for the 2019 season in Olean. For those of you who have an interest in social media marketing, this is going to be killer for you. Anything you learn about social media in a classroom will be outdated and irrelevant by the time you graduate. But Facebook Jumpstart is an explosive tool for your vector business, and this will give you immersive, real-world experience in using social media to create brand awareness, engagement, and conversion, and it's free. You're going to learn how to create a professional Facebook profile, how to target your audience, and how to run an engagement campaign that gets people to come into your office without spending a single dollar on ads. Social media is about a lot more than a funny or snarky Twitter feed and getting likes and shares. There's a saying that if your social media isn't making you money, you're doing it wrong. But too many businesses think that likes and shares are what matters because that's what you get notifications for. And quite honestly, too many graduates think that likes and shares pay the bills, and that's what they focus on getting. We're going to teach you how to use social media to create sales. And at the end of the summer, you're going to be able to measure and put on your resume exactly how many dollars you created from a social media campaign. And that will make you immensely more marketable if you end up doing something similar down the road, either for your own business or someone else's. The second thing, the second major move, is personal recruits. I guess this is the third one. The first one is phone interviews. Second one is Facebook Jumpstart. So the third major move is personal recruits, PRs. Just so you know, I looked up the numbers. 48% of the people who worked for Vector this year, that's nearly half. And by the way, that is 22,619 PRs out of a total of 47,008 people, total sales reps to date this year. 48% are PRs, meaning they did not respond to our Facebook Jumpstart. They did not respond to a letter in the mail. They did not respond to Craigslist or a road sign or any of that other stuff. They came personally recommended by a friend. So this is the last biggest growth move for 2019. When we teach you how to run a training seminar in the spring semester, we're going to teach you how to collect 100 plus leads per rep. Which, by the way, whatever you're used to getting from your customers, you're going to get 100 plus from training, and that definitely will help you get more from customers as well when you learn that. But all leaders, so only branch and district managers and sales managers run the training, but all leaders are responsible for scheduling PRs. That includes the branch and the district, that includes key sales leaders, assistant managers, and we're going to be digging into that heavily in the coming weeks. There's a saying that sales is all fun and thrills, but recruiting is what pays the bills. It doesn't matter if you're in Vector or not. My mother-in-law heads up a charity that rescues women from sex slavery. Her number one challenge right now, she doesn't know how to build a team, so she has plenty of opportunities. People are literally calling her to ask her come set up a booth and promote her charity and sell they sell jewelry. Literally, the women they rescue make the jewelry, and then they sell it to raise more money to rescue more women. It's pretty awesome. But she's got so many opportunities where she can sell the jewelry and raise money for the charity, but she doesn't know how to build a team. So she's constantly scrambling to get people lined up to make it happen and calling in favors. When my wife first started her business, she wasn't a recruiter. She was constantly working 12 to 16-hour days, staying up past 11 p.m. working because she had to do every single thing herself. Eventually, she invested time and money into learning how to recruit, and her business has more than tripled since that time. This may not be the sexiest topic, and I'll admit to you, and a couple of you, you've been telling me as I've been talking to you about Leadership Academy so far, you're like, oh, I want to learn sexier stuff. I get it. I want to teach sexier stuff. But no matter what you do down the road, this is an essential skill to master. So what can you do right now? I'm going to give you 3 things, and I want you to write these down. Number 1 is take a look at your Facebook profile. Okay, look at it, log out of Facebook, find yourself, and look through your page, look through your pictures, see all the things that somebody could see about you before they sent you a friend request. And if someone saw your page that didn't know you, would they be impressed and want to apply to work for you? Then log back in and scroll through your wall and scroll through your pictures and see if someone added you as a friend and did some research, would they be impressed and want to apply to work for you? A couple red flags to watch out for. It's great to have a ton of fun and be a real person. And I know what it's like when you go away to college, especially for the freshmen and the sophomores. But if a bunch of your pictures have red Solo cups or controlled substances, you should remove those from your social media. If a bunch of your posts are about religion or politics, it's not that it's not okay to have opinions, but the nature of those topics is that 50% of people will aggressively agree with you and 50% will aggressively disagree with you. And those topics in particular, they invoke a lot of emotion. So they literally will cut your funnel in half. Those should either not be posted at all, or at a minimum, change the privacy settings so that only certain people can see them, but not all of your friends. By the way, if you don't have a Facebook, create one. Create one. Even if you don't use it for your personal life, you are going to want to use it for your business. We're also going to be using Snapchat as well, but Facebook is proven to be the biggest opportunity still. Okay, number 2, start adding friends now. Okay, just friend people from your graduating class from high school and the current seniors from your high school. You don't need to do anything special right now. You're just expanding your network and your influence to get started. But the more people you can add into your friends list, the farther your network will expand, and we'll teach you aggressive expansion when we get closer to that time. And then number 3, the last one, is that you can start scheduling PRs for interviews now. If you are not an assistant manager, this is not a mandatory thing, but all of our assistant managers are scheduling PRs now, and everybody will do this over winter break. But if you want to earn some extra money in about 2 to 5 hours a week, or if you want to accelerate your leadership training, you don't have to wait until December. Okay, so the final thing before we get into our money series, I want to give you guys a couple friendly reminders. Number 1, almost every single person submitted their Leadership Academy assignments early or on time, which is great. For the 2 of you who haven't done it yet, I would recommend sending Kate a text or an email if you haven't already, explaining what happened and asking permission to submit them late. And then I would allocate time in your schedule to get them done ASAP. Number 2, our divisional prep. The next one is on October 13th. It's a Saturday. I don't have the details yet, but I suspect it'll be in Baltimore, and I suspect it'll be about a 10 to 4 or 11 to 5 or something like that. I'll get you the details as soon as I have them, but make sure that day is blocked off and available, and let anyone that you might have a schedule conflict with know that you need that date available ASAP. Also, the next savings checkpoint is $250 minimum, $500 if you're trying to get ahead. I do want to give props to everyone who's already at $1,000 or will be at $1,000 by then. For those of you who have already talked to me about that, you know who you are, way to separate yourself from the pack. And then number 3, the Olean trip is November 9th to 11th. If you're a student, we head up Thursday after class, so you're only going to miss your class on Friday. We have had students who have been able to get tests and projects rescheduled. We've had athletes who have been able to get permission to miss a game. We've had fraternity and sorority members miss fraternity and sorority events. Never once has it been an issue where someone couldn't attend because their teacher or coach or brothers or sisters wouldn't excuse them. However, it is easier to get flexibility in advance. So if you're asking a teacher on Wednesday, if you can miss the test on Friday, it's stressful and you're in for a hurt. But I know some of you guys have already done this and already taken care of it. But if you haven't yet, make sure to talk to them this week. If you need it, I can even send you a permission letter giving details on what the conference is and asking you to be excused. But honestly, if you just explain to them what you're doing with Leadership Academy and what you want to be doing next summer, and that this event is a critical step in the process, it's never once been an issue more than a month in advance. If you're nervous about it, just ask Kayla before you leave tonight. She did this last year as well. And also, I know some of you guys are planning on flying. Just a reminder, I know I've talked to all of you about this privately, but from my office, we're going to be caravanning up in cars. We do the drive every year. It's actually a lot of fun to do the Vector road trip. But for those of you who go to school in Ohio and North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, or for those of you who just don't want to sit in a car for 6 hours, you are welcome to fly. The company program is that they will sponsor half of your airplane ticket up to $150, and they will also provide a free shuttle that'll take you from the airport to the hotel and then from the hotel to the airport when we leave. So you just need to cover the airfare. If any of you guys have any questions about that, we can certainly discuss. I know many of you I've already talked to about it, but my recommendation is buy your airplane ticket ASAP for 2 reasons. Number one, flights are always cheaper the farther in advance you buy them. And number 2 is that as soon as you have the receipt, you and I can submit it to the company and get you your $150 credit immediately, which sooner is better than later, right? So I'd recommend getting on that ASAP. And then the last thing, number 4, is finally, many of you guys did a great job increasing your actions or at least getting started during the SLC push. For the D1 athletes, we're not going to ask you for anything again until Olean, which for most of you is after the season is over. But for the majority of you guys, this is your best opportunity to start building some momentum. It's directly related to what we're going to talk about in the money segment. So I'm going to stop this recording here. And then Kayla, if there's anything that you want to discuss before you move on, feel free. But as soon as you're ready, the next section is the money section part 2, which I've recorded first. So I already know what's coming. I'm really pumped about it, and I look forward to sharing it with you guys.